I've seen over the years where parents and professionals call a child nonverbal, and there's a lot of emphasis on augmentative communication devices and no emphasis on vocal language. And today I'm going to talk about how I never give up on vocal language. Hi, I'm Dr. Mary Barbera, Autism mom, Board-Certified Behavior Analyst, and best-selling author. I often hear, and when I've done evaluations in the past, I read that a child or a teen is nonverbal and on augmentative communication systems and are having problem behaviors. And when I inquire about whether the child does have any spoken language, I get things like, oh yeah, he can say mom, or he can say mama, or he can say hi, but everything else is pretty much on his device and or on some kind of augmentative communication system. And when I did an evaluation, probably one of my last independent evaluations, it was a teenager who was living in a residential placement and going to school in a approved private school. And he was 16 or 17 years of age, and he was like a child I'm talking about, where, you know, he was labeled nonverbal, he's on an augmentative system, obviously having a lot of problem behaviors if he's in a residential placement and I'm being called in to do an independent evaluation. And what I found was this boy did have a little bit of vocal language. He could say mama, he could say bead. It wasn't completely clear. When I observed him, he could also sing little songs, hum the music, fill in the blanks to some songs. And most of his requesting or manding was actually with his vocal language. And one of the things I talk about right away when I see kids with any kind of babbling, any kind of sounds or word approximations, is we don't want to just throw in the towel in terms of vocal language. We want to look at ways where we can improve that, because if a child can vocally man for something, it's just so much easier, less response effort for the child, and much more speedy in getting a response. So with this boy, we also looked at his ability to drink from an open cup or from a straw. Right away, I saw him drinking from a water bottle, and water is just spilling out of his mouth. That's how low tone his mouth was. So I asked the staff, does he ever drink out of a straw, which would be also better in terms of spilling, but it also would be better in terms of oral motor movements and just, maybe the ability to shape up his articulation a little bit more. He was able to drink out of a straw, which was a great first step. And I pointed out that he had word approximations and spoken words that everyone could understand for several different items. So I do believe that we need to focus more on vocal language. One of my online course members, Anna, bought my online course a couple of years ago when her son was 10 years old. Like this other boy that I'm talking about, her son only had a few words, and he was the staff was focusing on an augmentative system. With the techniques that Anna learned in my program, she was able to teach Nick to say hundreds of words with pretty good articulation. And so I would never rule out the ability to have vocal language. We have another member of our online community who is getting a teenager who was previously completely non-vocal, speaking in short word approximations and words. So I'm always a big proponent of assessing and making a plan to improve vocal speech if at all possible. You can get more tips and my brand new 3-step guide by downloading my 3-step guide to help you turn autism around for a toddler or a teen with autism. And I hope that you will leave me a comment, download my free guide, and I will see you next week.